The 2000 season of NASCAR saw the announcement of Dodge's return to the sport, and teams were revealed to switch to the manufacturer throughout the year. One of those future Dodge teams, though, wasn't switching from another make, they were building from the ground up, and that team was the newly formed Yellow Bolt Racing. Announced in mid-2000 by the two team owners, Ben Yellow and Blake Bolt, YBR would be a single car operation running the number 56. The driver, however, was TBA. It was known, though, what races YBR would run. They'd make a Daytona 500 attempt and run the following race at Rockingham. Then later in the season, Chicagoland, Bristol, and Charlotte for a total of 5 races. Jegs was soon revealed to be backing the effort, sponsoring all 5 races. Months later, in early 2001, the driver for the car would finally be announced. In the midst of all the rumors where all the Cup drivers would go, nobody expected a truck guy to take the seat. Said truck guy being Canadian Danny Cooper, coming off an almost title-winning season in 2000, battling with the likes of Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle. He didn't even expect to get the seat himself.
It's an amazing opportunity to drive in Cup, especially for a new manufacturer. I can't thank Blake, Ben, and everybody else at YBR enough. I really hope I can do this team justice. These guys have done a crap ton to get this car ready, and they deserve to be in the 500. I'd hate to disappoint them all. It's a lot of pressure being on the biggest stage of stock car racing.
The Daytona 500, being the largest race of the year, was not going to be easy to get into. After having a hard time getting the dang thing to just crank over for the first time, they took the car out for practice. The YBR car tended to hang around 25th to 30th all day. Not great, but they were better than some of the other Dodges at least. Qualifying for the duels didn't go much better, but wasn't terrible. Danny's time got 32nd overall, which for a dramatically underfunded upstart team for a new manufacturer wasn't too bad. Starting back at the pack for the second of the two 125 races, Danny and YBR had a lot of ground to gain to make it into the main show. 20th, 18th, 17th, back to 18th. It was a slugfest, but after 45 laps, Danny found himself just outside the top 10. However, the car wasn't nearly fast enough to move up any further. But that was fine. All he needed to do was finish 14th or better. 2 to go now, heading into turn 1 and 11. On the backstretch, the inside lane has run down to 13th. Off for the outside lane, coming back down to 12th. White flag high in the air, gaining seats by Ricky Rudd to help Kurt Busch. Falling back to 15th now on the outside looking in. Onto the backstretch, shoved by Jeremy Mayfield, back into the fight. The inside line gaining time through the final 2 turns. Everything's on the run at the outside line coming out of 4. Given another shot by Mayfield and crossing the line in. 14th. Lining up far back in 30th, the bright yellow of the Jegs number 56 shone in the sunlight. The one and only brand new motor YBR would use this season, waiting patiently for the command. It was time for the 2001 Daytona 500.
On behalf of the 350,000 UPS employees around the world, gentlemen, start your engines! Have waited all winter for this. Race teams have worked many months for this moment.
Despite the dramatic duel in opening, the 500 was relatively uneventful for YBR in the grand scheme of things. They started in previously mentioned 30th and ran on average only a few spots better around 28th. A broken jack on the second round of pit stops sent them back a decent bit. However, slowly but surely, lap after lap, they crawled their way back up into the top 30. When lap 175 came with only 25 to go, Robbie Gordon the 4 gave a bad push around with the 22 into the 20 of Tony Stewart, and as the Home Depot Pontiac took off up and over into the sky, the big one was happening in an instant. Danny was running 25th at the time and joined the cascade of cars barreling towards the massive contorting sheet metal. Slamming on the brakes, Danny got a slight punch to the rear and his car slid through the giant cloud of smoke straight through the middle of everything and came out the other side as Tony's tire bounced and smacked off the hood, coming to a stop facing sideways on the apron. The car was a little banged up and needed the 4-tire stop, but to the relief of the whole team, it was still in one piece. The wreck catapulted Danny up to a race-high 15th place. But unfortunately, he wouldn't stay there. As the white flag flew high in the air, Danny was pretty settled into 22nd, really only that high because of the massive wreck, and that's where he'd finish.
To the flag.
Come on, Mikey, you got it, man. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Michael Walton wins.
All right. The television dream come true. Oh, man.
YBR's second race would be the very solemn next week at Rockingham. Danny put down a lap good enough to qualify the car in 26th, and after the drop of the green managed to run around a slightly better 24th. However, as the halfway point of the race passed, he managed to haul the car up a few positions. 23rd, 22nd, and then a few more. 21st, passing Mark Martin for 20th, making YBR ahead of all 4 Roush cars on pure speed. Granted, Mark Martin was the best running Roush car in 20th, now 21st, but it's still an accomplishment.
He's off early. He's going to gas it hard, and here they're going to come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish.
Park has the run off the high side. He clears the body, and Steve Park scores the second straight win for Earnhardt Incorporated and the second win of his career.
Man, what a great finish.
By the time the checkered flag waved on Steve Park's emotion-filled win, Danny Cooper managed to get all the way up to a very surprising 18th place finish, a top 20 in their second start, a great achievement for a dramatically underfunded team. Much later in the season, they'd make their third start, coming at Chicagoland Speedway. Unfortunately, though, this race didn't go nearly as well. Danny couldn't manage a starting spot higher than 31st, and the team spent a lot of time up pit road making adjustments to the ill-handling car the whole race. To add insult to injury, about halfway through, they'd cut a right rear tire, flinging the car dead right to put into the turn 2 wall almost nose first. Repairs were made and Danny was sent back out, but ultimately the battered car would be pulled back behind the wall with repeating overheating problems, resulting in their first DNF and a 38th place finish. Picking up the pieces, it was time for the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. This time it started off decent enough, nabbing a 27th qualifying spot. But the car quickly fell off. The used Evernham engine in it just couldn't handle longer runs and they backed all the way through the field into 32nd. Before getting punted into turn 3, smacking tail first into the wall and losing the rear bumper. This time the car was able to continue on easily, but had even less speed now. As the checkered flag waved, Danny's 56th limped home in 30th. The fifth and final race of 2001 for YBR was the Fall Charlotte event. However, a fault in their dodgy motor that was only noticed after the insanely slow qualifying time sent the team home early with their first DNQ. Despite the poor second half and overall downer of an ending, overall 2001 went okay for a brand new startup. A 27th average finish and 28th average start was definitely not bad at all. And what was even better was they landed a full season sponsorship with Jegs, meaning YBR would run full-time for the 2002 season. Or at least, they tried to.